Hey guys, and welcome to another video by Fitness Technology Services. So today's another Nordictrack video. I'm just going to keep it down to lubing. I plan on doing a full-scale maintenance on it soon, but for right now I just want to go over the lubricant a little bit, kind of some do's and don'ts, and we'll kind of take it from there. Alright, so believe it or not, this really is the most important part for your machine. I have another video out called Treadmill Power Meter. You really need to take a look at that because this will tell you how efficiently and how badly, or at all, if you need to lube this. The lower the amperage, the more efficient the machine is running. Alright, so I just want to kind of reintroduce this. I got this on Horizon and some Soul, but I kind of want to show it on the Nordictrack also. Now, I normally like to use the factory lubricant. I know a lot of times when I go into customers' houses, I'll see different types of lubricant. I guess that's okay, but I like to stick with the manufacturer as much as I possibly can because they know the different types of belt they're making and they know what really complies with it. Yes, you can use just generic silicone, but I've really learned a lot by dealing with these walking belts, and it really does make a difference. But all in all, that's really based on the amperage. That's why the amperage is really important. It's important to know that really on a brand new machine, so as they go on, you can get an idea of how things are wearing down and if your maintenance has been enough or too much, really. I'm not sure about that. Usually it only works if they're bad, then you start pulling heavy amperage and it'll get worse than that. Alright, so the last product, usually for any joints or any squeaking, you'll kind of have to see this on Soul Squeaky Noises. I may do this on Nordictrack also, but this is the lubricant that I like for most of the joints when the machine's making issues. Not for underneath the walking belt, alright? Strictly for noises. Alright, one last thing and we'll get started here. If you do use a generic type of silicone, I'm a big fan, you can also tell by this, of this Super Lube stuff. Now, this is also what they usually recommend when I go to various training classes, so that kind of ups my confidence in this product a little bit. But I also like it. The key ingredient is it's food grade. Just means it's a little thicker, comes out a little heavier, sticks to the product that you're trying to get it to stick to. Sometimes some of the thin aerosols don't really work too well. I definitely don't like the spray pump kind. I see that a lot in customers' houses. You can't really get the lubricant underneath there far enough. Anyway, let me get that stuff out the way. So that's enough of that. Let me head to the back of the machine here because I want you to have a clear view. So I'm not even a big fan of adjusting the rear roller bolts, counting it 3 or 4 times, because then you got to count it to get it back. If you're pretty satisfied with how your belt's centered, the really only important thing about lubing is actually doing it. All right. So what I usually recommend, now I normally have my vacuum extension, but I can't find it, so I'm going to use my staff here. Hopefully I won't get it dirty or greasy. You're going to have to be careful. But usually it's just really a matter of squirting it underneath here. But if you can't get to it, then just use something. Give yourself a little space and room. Oh, and so one thing else before we even lubricate it. If you put your hands underneath here and it feels kind of greasy and quite frankly a little bit gross, don't lubricate it. That's what you're trying to get to. You're just trying to have a thin sheen product underneath here. You don't want to over lube it and have a big buildup on it, but you don't want it to be dry either. So whether you've lubed it or never lubed it or never maintenance, if you put your hands underneath here and it still feels slick, slick is good. Alright? So now we're going to go to the lubricant. Again, I have this stuff on my website. I guess I'm supposed to promote that, but I'm really just trying to get you to do it. But my website is fitnesspartspro.com. I'm sure it's flashing up in the back. It better be. So use scissors, whatever product you can to cut this off. When you lubricate it, use the entire 1 ounce. So if you bought one of those 4-ounce bottles, that's only good for 2, maybe 3 lubricants. You want at least 1 ounce. And it's very difficult when you have those pump sprays to get it to the middle. So where you want to lubricate it is where you think you're going to walk. If your normal walking area, and for that's most people, is up here in the front to back half, this is the only area that you want to lubricate. You don't want to bother lubricating the first 4 inches of either side, which is why I don't like the pump sprays, because they only do the first 4 inches. You want to get it right to the middle. That's what you'll see. I got a lot of videos where there's way more wear in the middle of the belt than there is on the side. So it's the middle of the belt we're taking care of. All right. So I'm not super freaky about pattern. We're going to use M shape, S shape. And I'm going to go back to about half because, for one, I don't need to go any further back. And for 2, if I get this slick stuff on my staff, then I got to wipe it off and clean it. Wish I could find my vacuum extension. And it's not really a full staff, it's just one of my little fighting sticks. And I don't actually fight with it, I just do forms with it. Alright, so I'm going to take my gloves off now. You can kind of see that slimy, shiny seam on it. If you've got gloves on and you just want to really be careful, I don't even recommend it. You have to do this, but I'm going to spread it a little bit. And then I'm going to wipe what I have on the top because I don't want to waste any. But I don't want to get to the edges because I don't want lubricant to come out. And I don't want to put lubricant on my stick. So I'm going to take these gloves off right here. Get my stick out. Alright, good. Not wet at all. So unless you can't do that, there's no reason to adjust the rear roller bolts. If you can't do that and you have to have more slack on your belt, well then I guess you got to do what you got to do. Turn it 3 or 4 times, whatever you feel comfortable with. Make sure you turn it back the same, but that has a lot to do with the tension on your belt. So that's really kind of up to you, really. I don't really need to, and I don't normally recommend, because I don't want you to have to worry about, is it tight enough, is it too tight? It's just not worth it. If everything's working good, why mess with something that's really working? Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm just going to push it by hand for just 1 or 2 revolutions, and I want to show you something here really quick. And the easier it is to push by hand, the better the belt is. The smoother it is. The more you have to struggle, the harder it is that the machine is working. Again, see my amp video. Alright, so when you need to use the can that I was showing you earlier, it's when this is starting to split, the seam spreads, and when that happens, when you silicone it with something heavy, that thick treadmill belt silicone, it seeps through it. And if it seeps through this, then you're just going to slip and slide on it. You don't want any lubricant on the top of this whatsoever. So in that case, if you put your hand underneath your walking belt and it feels super dry, but yet you're starting to split at the seam and you want to put a little lubricant on it, I would just put a spray or 2 of the spray lubricant. I wouldn't put a whole lot on it, just enough to reduce the friction. And you'll get an idea of how the friction relates when you see the videos. I got a lot of videos on amping your treadmill, but this is a Nordictrack Lubing, so we're going to stick to that. I have a tendency to be too talkative. I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time. That's it for this video. See you again soon. Alright, thanks a lot.